Hi everyone, my name is Andy Klingensmith. I'm on the outdoor education team at the Dana Brown Overnight Center at Shaw Nature Reserve. And today I want to share with you a fun and simple outdoor learning activity that we do as part of our programs that you can do on your own. So this outdoor learning activity is called I Notice, I Wonder, It Reminds Me Of. And it helps our students to be better observers of the world around them. So a few simple materials you'll need for this outdoor learning activity are a journal and a pencil, and then an optional thing you could use if you have a magnifying glass at home, bring that out with you. So before we get too much farther, please make sure to check in the description of this video. You can find the activity guide to this outdoor learning activity where you can use our Flipgrid page to share your thoughts, observations, and discoveries. So before we get started with this activity, let's take some time to stop and think about a few things. So the first thing I want you to think about is, have you heard or do you know somebody who is better at noticing things than other people? Or think about what skills would be really helpful to somebody who wants to be a better observer. And I want you to think about this quote from a very famous observer. His name was Sherlock Holmes, and he said, "I see no more than you, but I have trained myself to notice what I see." What do you think that means? Go ahead and write your thoughts down in your journal and then share them with us over on our Flipgrid page. So once we had some time to think, it's now time to let's start with this activity. And to do that, simply have your kids look around and find something that interests them. So I was walking on the path here at my local park and I came across this object. So now let's get into that exploration routine of I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of. So when we're making observations, we want to make sure that our kids are making those observations in real time. So these are the physical characteristics that our kids can use their senses to observe. A quick note that an observation is not an identification. I would not want to say that I notice this is an onion, because that is something we already know, and through these observations we want to learn something new. Also, an observation is not an opinion. We don't want our kids saying, "I noticed that this thing looks funny." So again, observations are what we can observe physically in the moment. So let's start with our I notice statements. So simply have your kids look at their object and name a few things that they notice. So with my object, I notice that it's green. I notice that if I roll it in my fingers, it feels round. And I notice that at the top of my object, there is a bunching of stuff underneath these plant fibers. So once we've made some I notice statements, have your kids ask some I wonder questions. Asking those questions will allow them to make deeper observations of their object. So I wonder what my object smells like. I wonder what's inside of this bunch of stuff. And I wonder what would happen if I swing it around. So once your kids have made those I notice statements, ask those good I wonder questions, it's time now to have them create connections between this observation and an experience or observation they have had in the past by making it reminds me of statements. So my object reminds me of chives that I find in the grocery store. My object reminds me of grass growing in my yard. So by using these exploration prompts, our kids and your kids can train themselves to notice what they see. While we use this exploration routine out in the natural world, these 3 prompts can be used on anything that your kids are curious about. On a pencil, on a magnifying glass, or even on this bench. So try out this outdoor learning activity in your area and make sure to use the activity guide in the description and head over and share your thoughts, observations, and discoveries with us on our Flipgrid page.